Welcome back everyone, and thank you for tuning into VeloView. Today, we're going back in time to explore one of the most iconic American cars ever made, the 1960 Ford Thunderbird. This car wasn't just a means of transportation, it was a statement, a bold piece of design and engineering that captured the spirit of its era. The Thunderbird had already carved out a place in automotive history when it first appeared in 1955, but by 1960, it had evolved into something far more significant, a symbol of style, comfort, and ambition that shaped the idea of the personal luxury car for decades to come. The 1960 model marked the final year of what enthusiasts call the Squarebird generation, a three-year run that redefined the Thunderbird's identity. When Ford moved away from the sporty two-seat roadster of the mid-50s and introduced the larger, four-seat model in 1958, it was a risky move. Purists who loved the nimble little first-generation car were skeptical, but Ford's gamble paid off. The new formula was a hit, and the Thunderbird found a much wider audience, appealing not only to enthusiasts but also to buyers looking for comfort, prestige, and practicality in one package. By the time the 1960 version arrived, the design and concept had matured, and Ford delivered one of the most refined and striking cars of the decade. The look of the 1960 Thunderbird was truly unforgettable. Its design combined smooth slab sides with sharp angles and subtle curves that emphasized width and length, giving it an elegant yet commanding presence. The front end featured quad headlights flanking a wide, horizontal chrome grille, while the hood carried crisp character lines that guided your eyes toward the car's edges. From the side, the low-slung profile made it appear sleek and futuristic, and when you walked around to the back, the styling really came alive. The rear end of the Thunderbird was pure drama, with wide fins that tapered into large round afterburner-style taillights. Those taillights weren't just functional, they became an instantly recognizable Thunderbird trademark, making the car look like it was ready to take off into the future. Another striking element of the 1960 model was the new roofline introduced on hardtop versions. Ford replaced the more upright roof of the earlier Squarebirds with a sweeping design that featured thinner C-pillars and a massive rear window, creating a lighter, more airy appearance. This change gave the Thunderbird a fresh identity, and it set the stage for future generations of the car. The overall result was a vehicle that looked like nothing else on the road at the time, low, wide, confident, and undeniably stylish. The interior of the 1960 Thunderbird was just as impressive as the exterior. Ford put serious effort into making the cabin feel special, wrapping the dashboard around the driver in a cockpit-like style that gave a sense of control and sophistication. Large round gauges sat inside polished bezels, while the center console extended between the front seats, a touch that was still unusual in American cars of the era. The seats themselves were wide and supportive, offered in vinyl or leather with elegant stitching patterns that made the cabin feel upscale. Rear passengers weren't neglected either, as the Thunderbird provided real comfort for four adults, something the earlier two-seat model could never claim. Options like power windows, a push-button radio, air conditioning, and premium trim materials made the car feel luxurious, but without going so far into extravagance that it priced itself out of reach for middle-class buyers aspiring to own something more special than a standard sedan. Under the hood, the Thunderbird offered solid performance. The standard engine was a 352 cubic inch V8, delivering 300 horsepower, which was plenty to move the heavy car with authority. For those who wanted even more muscle, Ford offered the big 430 cubic inch V8 borrowed from Lincoln, rated at 350 horsepower. Transmission options included a 3-speed manual, though the majority of buyers chose the Cruise-O-Matic automatic, which suited the Thunderbird's character as a comfortable, effortless cruiser. On the road, the Thunderbird wasn't a sports car in the European mold, but that wasn't the point. It was designed for smooth, powerful cruising, with a suspension tuned for comfort and a long wheelbase that soaked up bumps with ease. It delivered exactly the kind of relaxed, confident drive its buyers wanted, capable of long-distance highway travel while still having enough torque to feel powerful when called upon. Driving the Thunderbird in 1960 was more about the experience than about chasing performance numbers. You had the rumble of a big American 5.8 under the hood, the view down that sculpted hood stretching out in front of you, and the sense that you were piloting something both stylish and substantial. It was a car that made you feel special behind the wheel, not because it was the fastest machine out there, but because it was distinctive, comfortable, and classy. In many ways, the Thunderbird was about image as much as engineering, and Ford nailed that combination. What really made the 1960 Thunderbird significant was how it created and dominated a new market segment. It wasn't a true luxury car like a Cadillac or a Lincoln, and it wasn't a bare-bones sports car like a Corvette either. Instead, it was something in between, a personal luxury car that offered prestige, design flair, and comfort in a more approachable package. This was a concept that would grow massively in popularity over the following decades, influencing not only future Thunderbirds but also cars like the Buick Riviera, Oldsmobile Toronado, and even Chrysler's personal luxury coupes of the 1970s. In this sense, the Thunderbird was a pioneer, and the 1960 model was the high point of its early years. The cultural impact of the Thunderbird can't be overstated either. It appeared in films, television, and advertisements as a symbol of modern living and sophistication. Owning one said you had arrived, that you appreciated design and quality but also valued individuality. It was aspirational, yet still attainable, which made it especially appealing in the booming post-war economy of America. By 1960, the Thunderbird was selling in record numbers, with nearly 92,000 units sold that year, a remarkable achievement for a premium car in that era. Today, the 1960 Thunderbird holds a special place among collectors and enthusiasts. It's admired not only for its bold styling but also for its role in automotive history as a car that helped define an entire class of vehicles. Well-preserved examples draw attention at car shows, and restored models are highly sought after at auctions. While its quirks, like heavy steering and thirsty engines, remind you that it's a product of its time, those same traits also give it charm and authenticity. Driving or even just sitting in a 1960 Thunderbird connects you to an era of optimism, creativity, and confidence in American design. The 1960 Ford Thunderbird was more than just the end of the Squarebird generation. It was a statement piece, a car that captured the ambition of its time and set the stage for decades of personal luxury vehicles to follow. It wasn't about raw performance or practicality alone, it was about creating an experience, one that combined style, power, and comfort in a way that made the driver feel unique. More than 60 years later, the Thunderbird still stands as a symbol of what made that era of American cars so special. That wraps up today's review of the 1960 Ford Thunderbird. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most iconic cars of its time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us here at VeloView for more automotive history, design stories, and classic car reviews. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.